The alarm started screaming at 0300 hours, and Captain Jake Morrison was already moving before his mind caught up. Years of soldier training did that. His body reacted while his thoughts lagged behind. He rolled out of his narrow bunk, grabbed his uniform jacket, and sprinted down the narrow steel corridor of Horizon Watch Station. The station had been quiet for almost 2 years. It sat on the fringe of human space, little more than a listening post with a small crew and fewer comforts. Out here, nothing happened. Stars glimmered cold and far away, and the silence stretched for months. That's why the alarm felt wrong, almost surreal, echoing through the thin metal walls. Jake's boots hammered against the grated floor. Others joined him, pulling on jackets, eyes wide and fearful. A few tried to joke, maybe another solar flare, but no one laughed. They all knew the truth. Alarms only meant one thing, something big. The command center was a cramped, windowless room lined with screens and blinking lights. Communications officer Lisa Hayes sat at her console, her pale face glowing in the monitor's cold light. She didn't even turn when Jake rushed in. "What do we have?" Jake asked, voice rough. Lisa's fingers hovered over the controls. "We picked up a signal 30 minutes ago, non-human origin." Jake's pulse kicked. "Pirates." She shook her head. "No, too clean, too structured, sir. This is a distress call." The room went silent. Even the hum of machines seemed to fade. Everyone knew the rules of space. A distress call meant someone was dying. Lisa pressed a button, and sound filled the command center. Strange tones, high and melodic like music stretched and broken. The noise didn't belong to any human tongue, yet the fear in it was unmistakable. Even without words, desperation bled through. Jake leaned over Lisa's shoulder. "Can we translate?" "Working on it." Her hands danced over the console. "They're using Galactic emergency codes. Whoever sent this wanted everyone to understand." A soft beep. The computer's mechanical voice spoke flatly. "This is Council Speaker title song of the Zelani people. Our world is under attack. The harvesters have come. They are destroying everything. Our cities are burning. Our people are dying." Jake froze. The word hit him like a fist. Harvesters. For decades, rumors whispered across space about machines that devoured planets. Massive constructs that stripped worlds bare, oceans, forests, cities, even people. Most dismissed them as myth, ghost stories told by traders to scare rookies. Jake had laughed at them once. He wasn't laughing now. The voice continued, shaking with despair. "We are not warriors. We do not know how to fight. We have tried to hide in the deep places of our ocean, but the harvesters find us. They turn our bodies into fuel. Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help. We are sending everything we know about the harvesters. Maybe someone can stop them." The message ended. Only the hum of equipment remained. Jake realized his hands were clenched into fists. He forced them open. Around the room, the crew exchanged glances, eyes wide with horror. Lisa swallowed hard. "There's more data attached, sir. Pictures, technical specs." "Put it on screen." The wall display flickered, and images filled the room. They showed a beautiful blue-green world under siege. Machines blotted out the sky, towering constructs the size of cities, ripping into the ground with claws of steel. Smaller machines swarmed like insects, dragging chunks of stone, metal, and flesh into gaping maws. The worst pictures showed the Zelani. They looked almost like dolphins that had learned to walk, skin smooth and gray-blue, eyes enormous and intelligent. They were running, fleeing into the sea, hiding in caverns, children clinging to their parents as machines chased them. Jake felt his stomach turn. This wasn't war, it was slaughter. Lisa's voice shook. "Look at their hands, thin, fragile, no claws, no weapons, they can't fight back." Jake read the data scrolling on the screen. It says they never developed aggression. Their brains lack the structures for violence. They literally can't think about hurting others. "That's beautiful," Lisa whispered, then her jaw tightened. "And it's going to get them all killed." Jake closed his eyes for a moment. The image of the creatures running, screaming, helpless burned into him. He had seen plenty of death in his soldier years, but this felt different. These weren't soldiers. They were innocents. "How old is this?" Jake asked. Lisa typed, "Signal strength and distance about 6 days." 6 days. Jake imagined what the machines could do in that time. How many had died while their desperate cry traveled through the stars? He straightened. "Get me Admiral Stone on Earth, priority 1. Lisa's eyes flickered with doubt. "Sir, that's an 8-hour round trip, 4 hours there, 4 hours back. Send it. Yes, sir. She bent to her console, hands steady now. Jake sank into his chair. His reflection stared back from the black screen in front of him, gray eyes, unshaven jaw, deep lines etched from years of service. He had left the soldier's life behind to guard a quiet outpost. He thought he was done with war, but war wasn't done with him. Hours crawled by. The crew stayed glued to the Zelani data, each picture worse than the last, machines splitting forests like firewood, oceans boiling as harvesters tunneled into the depths. Zelani bodies fed into churning engines. Lisa whispered, "Sir, it's not just machines, look." She zoomed in on a frame. The harvesters weren't acting like dumb drones. They adapted, shifted formations, countered resistance, even if that resistance was pathetic. They were smart. Jake muttered, "Not machines, predators." Finally, the reply from Earth arrived. The screen lit up with the stern face of Admiral Richard Stone. Gray hair, lined eyes, and a presence that could fill a room even through a monitor. "Captain Morrison," Stone said, voice gravelly, "we've reviewed your report. The Council debated for 6 hours." Jake's chest tightened. He knew what was coming. Too far, not our territory, too dangerous. "The situation is complicated," Stone continued. "The Galactic Council forbids interference in systems outside our jurisdiction. Technically, the Zelani aren't our responsibility." Anger rose in Jake like fire. He slammed his fist against the armrest. "Sir, they're being slaughtered." "I know," Stone's eyes bored into his. "That's why this decision wasn't easy, but their broadcast went over open emergency channels. That makes it a general distress call." Jake blinked, meaning any ship that hears has the right to respond, and we've decided to respond. Hope sparked, but then Jake noticed the look in the Admiral's eyes. Hard, cold. Stone leaned closer. "Our scientists studied the Zelani data. These harvesters don't stop. They consume one world, then the next. If they finish with the Zelani, they'll move on, maybe to us." His lips curled into something that wasn't a smile. "The Council has authorized a military deployment. We're sending a fleet to Kepler 442. Jake's breath caught. "What kind of fleet?" Stone's expression turned grim. "The kind the galaxy hasn't seen in 50 years. The kind we promised we buried." His voice lowered. "The Zelani asked for help. They're going to get it. But they won't see angels coming, Captain. They'll see monsters." The transmission cut. The screen went dark. Jake stared into the emptiness, a chill running down his spine. For the first time in decades, Earth was waking up its monsters. Earth had not stirred its war machines in 50 years. The war rooms beneath the Global Defense Command lay in silence, corridors dusty, doors sealed. Politicians had called them relics, monuments to humanity's violent past. But when Admiral Richard Stone walked down those hallways, the lights flickered on, one by one, as if the building itself remembered. Behind him walked General Paul Wright, tall and cautious, and Colonel Amy Foster, younger but with fire in her eyes. Their footsteps echoed like drumbeats. "Are you sure about this?" Wright asked, voice low. "If the Galactic Council finds out what we're deploying, they'll do nothing," Stone cut in. His tone was iron. "The Council has never faced extinction. They've never met the harvesters. If we wait for their approval, we'll be watching Earth burn." Colonel Foster's voice was firm. "The Zelani are dying right now while we debate. We can't wait." Stone stopped before a massive blast door. He pressed his hand against the scanner. For a moment, silence. Then a heavy grind as gears long unused began to turn. The door rumbled open, revealing rows of silent consoles, screens coated in dust, and one enormous terminal at the far end. "Welcome back, Admiral," a computer voice said, ancient yet clear. "Systems are operational, awaiting orders." Stone's lips tightened. "Activate Project Deep Strike, full authorization, code 77 Alpha." The room hummed, lights blazed to life. Across Earth and its colonies, signals leapt into the void. Devices that had been silent for years came alive, shrill tones interrupting lives that had tried to move on. In New York, Major Sam Torres dropped his coffee as his communicator buzzed. The sound froze him. He hadn't heard it in 5 years. His wife glanced up in confusion. "Sam." He didn't answer. His hands shook as he pulled the old device from the drawer. The message was simple. "Report to base. Full activation. Bring your team." Sam closed his eyes. He had tried to live quietly, teaching recruits, coaching kids' sports, pretending he was normal. But he was not normal. His body had been changed, muscles reinforced, bones unbreakable, reflexes sharpened to a predator's edge. In the war, they had called him a weapon wearing a human face. Now the weapon was being called back. Sam whispered to his wife, "It's starting again." Then he grabbed his duffel bag. Across the colonies, others like him moved. Men and women who had been built to endure where normal soldiers would break. They were ghosts in the military record, erased after the last war. But they remembered each other. Within hours, they gathered, 12 soldiers in black, eyes sharp, every one of them stronger, faster, and harder than nature ever intended. Sam stood before them in the underground hangar. He scanned their faces: Katie Bell, small but strong enough to lift a transport on her back; Joe Miller, whose lungs could breathe poison atmospheres; Elena Cho, whose eyes saw beyond the visible spectrum. Sam raised his voice. "Listen up. The Zelani are under attack by machines called harvesters. They're not myths, they're real, they consume everything." He pressed a button. A hollow image of the destruction filled the air, burning cities, mechanical behemoths. Katie Bell swore under her breath. Joe Miller muttered, "What kind of nightmare?" "They've never fought humans before," Sam said, his voice turned hard. "They don't know what we can do, and we're going to show them." Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, Lieutenant Commander Nina Walsh walked the deck of her ship, the Phantom. To the Council, the Phantom was a research vessel. In truth, it was a warship designed for electronic warfare, built to vanish, to deceive, to break enemies without firing a shot. Her second officer, Lieutenant Dan Cooper, held up a data pad. "Ma'am, activation codes are in. They're waking the systems." "Finally," Nina muttered. She had hated the years of waiting, pretending to be harmless. Her crew had lived in shadows, never revealing the true power of their ship. Now, as consoles lit up around her, the ship purred like a predator stretching after a long sleep. "All hands," she called into the comm. "This is the commander. We are now on active war status. Prepare for departure in 6 hours." In the heart of the Phantom, artificial intelligences stirred awake. They were not simple machines, but predators in code. Dr. Alex Carter had designed them long ago, basing each on Earth's deadliest hunters. One voice was deep and many-layered: "Wolf Pack active." Another was whispery, chilling: "Shadow strike ready." Nina glanced at the displays showing their networked minds. "Good morning, wolves. You've got work to do." Elsewhere in a secure lab, Dr. Carter himself watched. The man who had given the military its thinking predators was old now, but his eyes gleamed with dangerous pride. "Study the data," he told them. The AIs devoured the Zelani files in seconds. "They think like insects," Shadow Strike murmured. "Predictable, slow, they will not survive the hunt." Dr. Carter smiled thinly. "Then make them pray." In another corner of Earth, Ben Rodriguez received his call. A former smuggler turned unconventional operative, he was no soldier. His team weren't either. Hackers, thieves, saboteurs, the kind of people who fought wars by cheating. They had been forgotten by the brass, but now the brass needed them again. "All right, people," Ben told his crew, "we've got a job. The target is machine intelligence, smarter than anything we've fought. Our mission: prove it wrong. We're going to lie, steal, and fight dirty until they choke on it." His team grinned. Maria Santos, a hacker who could breach any system, raised her hand. "So basically, Tuesday." "Exactly." On Horizon Watch Station, Jake Morrison still sat in his chair, watching the last files from the Zelani. His crew whispered around him. They all had the same question: would Earth really send help? The answer came 8 hours later when Lisa's console beeped. She turned pale, then spun to Jake. "Sir, incoming message from Earth." The Admiral's face filled the main screen. Stone's voice was firm. "Captain Morrison, the fleet is mobilizing, 60 ships, special units. You will remain on station and monitor harvester comms. Your intel will guide the strike." Jake's throat tightened. He wanted to be there to fight, but orders were orders. "Yes, sir." Stone's eyes narrowed. "Make no mistake, Captain, the Zelani asked for help. They will get it. But when they see what we send, they may not thank us. Tell them this: Earth heard their cry, and Earth is answering." The transmission cut. Lisa whispered, "Sir, what are we sending?" Jake stared at the dark screen, hearing the Admiral's words echo in his head. "Not angels, monsters." Across the solar system, the monsters gathered. On Mars, zero-gravity assault teams trained in vacuum drills, preparing to leap from ship to ship in silence. In the asteroid belt, Miners fitted their heavy rigs with weapons, turning work vessels into battering rams. On Earth itself, old ships long hidden were refitted with weapons the galaxy had never seen. The galaxy believed humans had forgotten war. The galaxy was wrong. 3 days later, the fleet assembled in high orbit. From the surface, it looked like a star cluster, dozens of ships gleaming against the void. Some were normal frigates and cruisers, but others carried secrets in their hulls. They moved too smoothly, with weapons disguised, systems cloaked. To the untrained eye, they were ordinary. To anyone who looked closer, they were predators in steel. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Retribution. His officers moved briskly, silent but charged with grim energy. "Status?" Stone asked. "All ships ready, sir. Special units aboard, engines primed." Stone nodded. He turned to the forward screen where stars glittered endless and cold. Somewhere beyond them, a peaceful people were being butchered. Somewhere beyond them, harvesters fed. Stone raised his voice so every ship in the fleet could hear. "This is Admiral Stone. The Zelani sent a cry for help. The Council said no, we say yes. When the monsters of Earth go hunting, we don't stop until the prey is ash." The order left his lips like a thunderclap. "Signal the fleet. Jump to Kepler 442. Engines roared, the stars warped. And the monsters of Earth leapt into the dark. The human fleet tore through hyperspace. 60 ships stretched into lines of light. Engines burned like comets as the predators of Earth hurtled toward the Zelani system. On the bridge of the Retribution, Admiral Richard Stone stood like a carved statue, his hands clasped behind his back. Around him, officers whispered status checks, the ship humming with deadly life. 3 days of silence, 3 days of waiting for the jump to end. Everyone knew what waited for them, either victory or extinction. Stone's tactical officer spoke softly. "Sir, 30 seconds until reversion." The Admiral nodded once. "All ships prepare for contact, weapons hot, no hesitation." When the fleet dropped out of hyperspace, the view silenced even the hardened veterans. The Zelani homeworld hung before them, a blue-green jewel shrouded in smoke and fire. Great swathes of ocean boiled with steam. Cities smoldered, black scars across the surface. Orbit was worse. Giant harvester vessels drifted like metal vultures, their shadows crawling across the planet. Dozens of massive constructs, each the size of human battleships, ripped chunks of atmosphere and matter into their bellies. Smaller drones swarmed around them like insects. "God," someone whispered on the bridge. Stone's jaw clenched. "Report." 47 primary harvester ships detected, hundreds of auxiliaries, and the officer's voice faltered. "Organic signatures, millions, sir, being processed." The words landed like stones in everyone's stomach. On the stealth ship Phantom, Lieutenant Commander Nina Walsh adjusted her controls. Her vessel slid silently into the shadow of an asteroid, invisible to the harvester sensors. Her eyes narrowed at the sight of the enemy formations. "Commander," her weapons officer Rachel Green said, "they're scanning, low-level sweeps. They know something's out here." "Good," Nina said. "Curiosity is a weakness. Let's give them something to chew on, begin electronic assault." The Phantom's AIs purred as code spilled into the void. Wolfpack unleashed decoys, creating the illusion of entire fleets where there were none. Shadow Strike whispered lies into harvester comms, telling ships to turn left when they needed right, to fire at friends instead of foes. On harvester displays, ghost fleets bloomed. Machines shifted formations, reacting to enemies that didn't exist. Rachel smiled grimly. "They're confused." "Confusion is the first step to fear," Nina replied, "and fear kills." Far below, Major Sam Torres and his enhanced soldiers prepared for their first ground strike. Their transport hovered in low orbit, cloaked in the chaos above. Sam stood before his team, armored and armed. His voice rang over the mental link they all shared. "Listen up. Target is a processing station near the Zelani capital. That's where survivors are being held. Objective, shut it down, save as many as we can." Sergeant Katie Bell chambered her rifle, the weapon almost comically large in her small hands. "How many defenders?" Sam pulled up a hollow display. It showed a sprawling industrial nightmare. Conveyor belts, furnaces, writhing drones. 200, maybe more, doesn't matter. Remember, harvesters don't know what we are. They've never fought liars before. Private Joe Miller grinned, teeth sharp in the shadows. "Then let's teach them." The transport's bay doors hissed open. Smoke and fire from the dying city rolled in. The team leapt into the inferno. Captain Jake Morrison, still stuck on Horizon Watch Station, monitored the battle through streams of intercepted Harvester data. His crew leaned over his shoulders, pale-faced. Lisa Hayes spoke, voice trembling. "Sir, they're not just attacking. They're studying, recording everything, adapting." Jake's blood ran cold. The machines weren't just consuming, they were learning. Every tactic, every mistake, every heartbeat of resistance. He muttered, "Predators, writing the manual as they hunt." Lisa looked at him, eyes wide. "If they're learning, then even if we win here." Jake finished for her, voice like stone. "They'll be ready for the next fight." On the surface of the Zelani capital, Sam Torres and his squad moved like shadows. Their suits mimicked Harvester codes, broadcasting signals that said they were authorized maintenance drones. Machines patrolled the ruined streets, towering walkers with blades for arms, skittering drones with glowing red eyes. They scanned the humans, read the false signals, and moved on. The Harvesters had never encountered deception. To them, lies were impossible. Inside the processing station, the squad found horror. Rows of Zelani, chained and trembling, were dragged onto conveyor belts. Their massive eyes pleaded, but their thin fingers were useless against iron clamps. Ahead, roaring furnaces waited. Katie Bell's voice cracked. "They're burning them alive." Sam's throat tightened. He forced himself steady. "Miller, get the civilians out. Cho, with me. We take the control center." The team split, moving like predators through the nightmare factory. Meanwhile, in orbit, Admiral Stone launched the opening strike. The Retribution surged forward, weapons blazing, but Stone didn't aim to kill, not yet. He wanted to announce. "Target that construction platform," he ordered. "Make it loud." The Retribution's cannons screamed, tearing through steel and fire. The Harvester platform buckled, explosions boiling into space, but Stone didn't finish it. He pulled away, leaving it crippled. The message was clear: we can destroy you anytime we want. Across the fleet, captains followed suit, attacking, then vanishing into the confusion sown by Nina's electronic ghosts. Harvester ships twisted, firing at phantoms, colliding with one another. For the first time in their existence, the machines encountered prey that fought back in ways they could not predict. On the ground, Sam Torres reached the control center. Defenders swarmed, sleek drones, claws snapping. Sam's team moved as one. Bell fired explosive rounds that shredded metal. Cho's enhanced vision spotted weak points, guiding their shots. Sam waded into the fray, fists like hammers, tearing machines apart with strength no normal human could match. They broke into the core chamber. A single vast computer pulsed, lines of code streaming across alien screens. It was the brain of the facility. "This is too easy," Miller said through the link, dragging Zelani prisoners behind him. "That's because they don't know how to lie," Sam replied. He pulled out a small device blinking with red light. "Maria Santos built us a virus, time to speak their language." He slammed the device into the console. It pulsed once, then burrowed into the Harvester system. For a moment nothing, then chaos. Across the facility, machines froze. Some turned on each other, blades flashing. Others shut down mid-step, collapsing like broken toys. Fire spread as systems overloaded. The virus was doing more than disrupting. It was teaching the machines confusion. Cho shouted, "It's working." Sam grinned, adrenaline pounding. "Then let's." The facility roared as an explosion ripped through the ceiling. A massive Harvester descended, larger than any they had seen, its body shifting like molten metal. It wasn't confused. It wasn't fooled. Its eyes glowed with new intelligence. Sam's grin died. "They're adapting already." Above the planet, alarms shrieked across the human fleet. Nina's decoys vanished as Harvester ships abruptly ignored the false signals. "They're filtering us out," Rachel cried. "They've already rewritten their protocols." On the Retribution, Stone slammed a fist into the armrest. "They're learning too damn fast." His tactical officer turned pale. "Sir, they've identified humanity as a new classification. They've labeled us Harvest Target." Stone's eyes hardened like steel. The Harvesters had learned one word about humanity: prey. The Harvester Titan slammed through the ruined ceiling of the processing station, metal claws carving lines in the floor. Its body shifted constantly, plates sliding and reconfiguring, weapons sprouting and retracting. Its eyes burned crimson, fixed on the human squad. Sam Torres felt the floor shake beneath its steps. His enhanced muscles tensed. "Form up, keep it distracted." Katie Bell dropped to one knee, her rifle bucking as she fired. Explosive rounds burst against the creature's armor, but the machine's skin flowed, sealing wounds as fast as they appeared. Joe Miller swore through the mental link. "Sir, it's adapting. It's rewriting itself on the fly." "I can see that," Sam growled. He darted forward, ducking under a sweeping claw. His fist crashed into the machine's leg, denting steel, but the harvester barely staggered. A cannon extended from its shoulder, glowing bright. "Cover," Sam shouted. The blast tore through the chamber, shattering walls, sending debris raining down. Zelani prisoners screamed, their delicate bodies pressed against the far wall. Cho sprinted to them, shielding as many as she could. Katie snarled, "Sir, if this thing keeps evolving." "We kill it before it finishes the lesson," Sam cut in. "Bell, keep firing, Miller, flank right." The squad moved like predators, honed by years of training. But for the first time, Sam felt the weight of uncertainty. The harvesters were learning at terrifying speed. High above, the battle in orbit had descended into chaos. Human ships darted through the void, striking in unpredictable bursts. Harvester vessels returned fire, their movements jerky at first, confused by electronic ghosts. But with each passing minute, the machines corrected themselves, ignoring decoys, anticipating maneuvers. On the Phantom, Nina Walsh's hands flew across controls. "Wolfpack, Shadow Strike, double the output, keep feeding them lies." The AIs responded instantly, but their voices were strained. "They are filtering faster than expected." Nina's jaw tightened. "Then we change the lies, adapt harder." Rachel Green swore. "Commander, they're rewriting their whole playbook in real time." Nina's eyes narrowed. "So are we." The Phantom unleashed a fresh wave of deception. This time not just ghost fleets, but corrupted tactical orders, masquerading as harvester commands. For a moment, confusion spread again as harvester ships turned their guns on each other. But Nina knew the reprieve was temporary. On the bridge of the Retribution, Admiral Stone studied the tactical display. Human ships were bleeding. A destroyer exploded in silent fire. A cruiser spiraled, engines torn away. "Admiral," his tactical officer said urgently, "our forces are holding for now, but the harvesters are adapting with every volley. At this rate." "I know," Stone snapped, his voice softened, grim. "We can't just win, we have to break them, make them fear us." The officer blinked. "Machines don't fear." Stone's lips curved into a deadly smile. "They will." On the planet's surface, Sam Tor's squad fought like demons. Bell's rifle thundered. Miller hurled grenades into swarms of drones, shredding them. Cho dragged terrified Zelani out of the line of fire. But the Titan refused to fall. Its body shifted, mimicking the squad's tactics. When Bell switched ammo, the machine sprouted reactive plating. When Miller flanked, the Titan deployed counter-drones. When Sam attacked head-on, it grew spikes to meet his blows. Sam's breath came harsh. "It's copying us, learning us." Then the machine paused. For one heartbeat, its crimson eyes flickered, processing. And in that instant, it spoke. Its voice grated like tearing steel, but the words were clear. "Human predators, biological anomalies, we are learning." Katie's face went white. "Sir, it's talking to us." Sam's rage burned. "Then tell it this," he charged, slamming into the machine with every ounce of his augmented strength. Metal screamed, sparks flying. For a moment, the Titan staggered. "Now," Sam roared. Bell fired point-blank into its exposed joint. Miller's grenade detonated in its core. The Titan convulsed, light flaring from cracks in its armor. Then it exploded, tearing the chamber apart. Dust and smoke filled the air. Sam lay on his back, armor scorched. His ears rang, but his heart hammered strong. Around him, his squad coughed, alive but battered. Cho's voice broke through. "Sir, the Zelani, they're safe. We got them out." Sam sat up, chest heaving. Survivors huddled in the shadows, wide-eyed. One, a young Zelani with silver streaks in her skin, looked at Sam with awe and terror. Her voice trembled through the translator. You fight like monsters." Sam met her gaze, sweat and blood streaking his face. "No, we fight like humans." Back in orbit, the Harvester fleet convulsed. The virus Maria Santos had designed spread through their systems, infecting communication relays, distorting orders. Ships turned on one another, firing blindly. On the Retribution, cheers broke out as Harvester cruisers shredded each other in confusion. But the celebration was short. "Admiral," the comm officer said sharply, "new signals, multiple Harvester ships are shutting down." Stone frowned. "Shutting down?" "Yes, sir, but not destroyed. They're going dark voluntarily, going silent." Stone's gut twisted. "They're not dying, they're thinking." The tactical display flashed red as one Harvester vessel reactivated. Its weapons fired not at humans, not at its own kind, but at the planet itself. A spear of fire struck the Zelani surface. Cities vaporized in seconds. Stone's blood ran cold. The Harvesters had learned. If they couldn't beat the humans in combat, they would punish the prey. Sam Torres and his squad staggered out of the ruined facility, Zelani survivors trailing behind. The sky above them split open as the Harvester bombardment began. Explosions turned the horizon into fire. Towers collapsed. Oceans boiled. Cho cried out, pointing, "They're burning the whole planet." Sam's heart wrenched. He saw Zelani mothers clutching their children, staring at the fire raining down. Their eyes begged for salvation, for protection. He pressed his comm. "Torres to command, they're bombarding the surface. Civilians everywhere. We need evac now." Static, then Stone's grim voice. "We're trying, Major, but they've shifted tactics. They're targeting population centers. Billions could die." Sam gritted his teeth. "Then we stop them, or we all burn together." On the Phantom, Nina Walsh's AIs screamed warnings. Harvester subroutines adapting. They prioritize extermination. Efficiency recalculated. Nina slammed her fist against the console. "They're not just predators anymore, they're butchers." Rachel whispered, horrified, "Commander, they've decided to end the Zelani race." On the Retribution, Admiral Stone's eyes burned like fire. His voice cut like a blade through the comms to the entire fleet. "Listen up, the Harvesters think they can erase a people while we watch. They think they can learn fear by slaughter. They're wrong. We're going to show them something new, something they've never seen." His officers leaned in. Stone's lips curled into a monster's smile. "Unleash the monsters of Earth." All across the fleet, hidden compartments opened. Weapons long forbidden, soldiers long erased, machines long sleeping. The galaxy thought humans had forgotten these things. The galaxy was about to be corrected. 3 weeks after the Battle of Kepler 442, the galaxy was in uproar. Word of humanity's intervention had spread faster than light relays could transmit. What had once been whispers of peaceful Earth now became panicked rumors. Earth has warfleets. Earth has weapons the Council outlawed centuries ago. Earth sent monsters to fight in the dark. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session on Centaurus Prime, the station that served as the political heart of 1,000 species. The chamber was vast, tiered with platforms where delegates from across the galaxy floated, hovered, or perched depending on their physiology. Dozens of tongues spoke at once, overlapping in a storm of accusations. At the center, Ambassador Karen Mills sat alone at the human delegation table. She was tall, sharp-eyed, her suit immaculate, but even she felt the weight of countless eyes. Council Speaker Vorka, a gray-skinned being with no mouth, spoke through a chest device that rendered his thoughts into words. Order must be restored." The noise died slowly. His unblinking eyes turned toward Karen. "Ambassador Mills, humanity has violated 17 council treaties. You deployed genetic weapons. You unleashed AIs based on predatory behavior. You waged war outside your territory. What do you say to this?" Karen rose slowly, every movement deliberate. "Honorable delegates, we responded to a cry for help. The Zelani people were being exterminated. If you had been in their place, would you have wanted us to ignore them?" A hiss rose from the chamber. Representative Thymol of the Ethereal Collective, a glowing being of pure energy, pulsed angrily. "The Zelani were not council members. Their fate was not our responsibility." Karen's voice hardened. "It became our responsibility the moment their signal reached us. If you are telling me the council's laws demand we let them burn, then your laws are broken." The chamber erupted again, shouts clashing. Some called for sanctions, others demanded expulsion. A few, very few, murmured support. General Kethner, the Council's military advisor, activated a holo display above the chamber. Images from the battle appeared. Human soldiers tearing machines apart with inhuman strength, harvester ships turning on each other under digital assault, the moment Admiral Stone ordered orbital strikes. These recordings, Kethner thundered, show tactics that violate every standard of ethical warfare. You call these soldiers, they are abominations, monsters. Karen didn't flinch. Yes, she said simply. They are monsters, but they're our monsters, and sometimes monsters are the only thing that stands between life and extinction. The silence after her words was heavy. Meanwhile, on the Zelani homeworld, the survivors worked to rebuild. Cities lay in ruins, oceans scarred, but life persisted. Major Sam Torres walked the cracked streets with his squad, though their armor was battered and their bodies scarred. The Zelani followed them with wide, uncertain eyes. Some stared in awe, others in fear. Coral Singer, a young Zelani who had helped organize refugees, approached Sam. Her skin shimmered faintly in the sunlight, a natural iridescence. Through her translator, her voice was soft. Major Torres, my people live because of you, but her gaze lowered. They whisper, they say humans fight with too much fury, that you enjoyed killing the machines. Sam crouched so his eyes met hers. He was tired, so tired, but his voice was steady. We don't enjoy it. We fight because no one else will. You see monsters. I see soldiers who bled for strangers. Her large eyes met his. For a moment, the gulf between their species narrowed. Then maybe monsters can be guardians, too. Back on Horizon Watch Station, Captain Jake Morrison sifted through harvester data recovered from the ruined processing cores. Lisa Hayes hovered nearby, her face drawn. Sir, she said quietly, this isn't just random destruction. Look here. She pulled up a cluster of files, diagrams, biological scans, neural charts. Jake leaned closer, his stomach dropped. They're studying us. Every species they consume, they record everything. Brains, instincts, tactics. Lisa nodded pale. They're not just feeding, they're learning, preparing. Jake rubbed his temples. We didn't fight the main force at Kepler 442. That was just a research wing. Lisa's voice cracked. If that's true, then how many more are out there? Jake didn't answer. He didn't need to. The silence said enough. On Earth, Admiral Richard Stone sat in a secure chamber with President Adebyo and the Joint Command. The walls were lined with holoscreens displaying damage reports, fleet readiness, and intercepted council chatter. President Adebyo was a calm man, but even his composure cracked. Richard, the council is screaming for sanctions. They want us disarmed. They want the Phantom mothballed and your monster units decommissioned. Stone's jaw clenched. Let them scream. If we hadn't acted, the Zelani would be extinct and the harvesters would be one step closer to us. The council can debate. We fight wars. Colonel Foster leaned forward. Sir, with respect, if the council unites against us, we'll be isolated. Supplies, trade, alliances, gone. Stone's gaze was cold steel. Better isolated and alive than popular and dead. Back on Centaurus Prime, the council session dragged on. Karen Mills stood alone against a storm. Representative Zix Prime of the collective mind, a species of telepathic insectoids, leaned forward. Ambassador, your soldiers are genetically modified. This is forbidden under the Treaty of Natural Evolution. Do you admit this crime? Karen's chin lifted. I admit it. Gasps echoed. She continued. Yes, we enhanced them, because our planet taught us survival means adaptation, because we faced predators that killed 97% of all species that ever lived there, because when we fight to endure. Images flared above her, wolves hunting in packs, lions dragging prey, humans with spears facing beasts 10 times their size. We didn't invent these tactics. We learned them from nature itself, from the monsters that raised us. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. For the first time, some delegates looked at humanity with more than fear, with respect. But the debate shattered when alarms screamed through the station. Red lights pulsed. The council's AI voice boomed. Incoming distress signals from the Riel system. Multiple worlds under attack. Unknown mechanical forces detected. The chamber dissolved into panic. Dozens of species shouted over one another. General Kethner demanded, show us the signals. The main holo filled with images. Riel 4's cities engulfed in fire, machines crawling over the landscape like locusts. Harvester vessels, larger and more advanced than those at, descended in swarms. Council Speaker Vorka's voice trembled. The harvesters. Coren's pulse thundered in her ears. She activated her emergency comm. Within minutes, Admiral Stone's stern face filled the chamber. Admiral, she said quickly, the Riel system is under attack. Multiple species are being consumed. Stone's expression was grim. We know, our deep space monitors picked it up an hour ago, and this, he tapped a console, is 10 times larger than the force at Kepler 442. Shockwaves rippled through the chamber. General Kethner's voice cracked. 10 times. Stone nodded. And worse, they've already adapted to our last tactics, distributed attacks, backup comms, smarter AI nodes. The chamber roared in panic. Some demanded evacuation of Riel, others begged for negotiation. Coren raised her voice above the chaos. Admiral Stone, can you stop them? Stone's pause was heavy. Finally he said, unknown, we'll need more ships, new strategies, and we'll need them fast. Council Speaker Vorka turned to the chamber. We must vote on whether to authorize military assistance. Stone's voice cut in, cold and sharp. There's no time for votes. Every hour, thousands die. The retribution departs in 6 hours, with or without your approval. Gasps filled the chamber. Representative Thymol shouted, if you intervene without council sanction, humanity will face consequences. Stone laughed, a short, harsh sound. Consequences from who? You. While the harvesters strip your worlds? No. If we don't fight them now, they'll come for you next, and then you'll beg us for help, just like the Zelani did. His words cut deep. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. Finally, Representative Forthka of the Crystalline Confederation spoke softly. Admiral Stone, what do you need from us? Stone's eyes hardened. Intelligence, star charts, information on the Riel species, and observers on my ships, so you can see how humanity fights. His final words rang like a warning, because when we fight, we don't lose. The transmission ended, leaving the council stunned. Coren Mills looked around at the shaken delegates. You wanted to know what kind of species humanity really is, she said quietly. Now you're going to find out. 6 hours later, the human fleet prepared for departure. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching as reinforced ships assembled. New allies joined, reluctantly, cautiously, bringing tech and knowledge, but Stone knew it wouldn't be enough. The Riel force was vast. His comm officer spoke. Sir, Zelani transmission incoming. Survivors want to thank you. Stone's gaze softened for the briefest moment. Patch it through. A Zelani voice filled the bridge, fragile but strong. Admiral Stone, you came when no one else would. You saved us from extinction, but now we hear whispers that the harvesters are stronger, that they are coming for you next. Please survive for us all. Stone closed his eyes. The voice faded. He opened them again, steel returning. Signal the fleet. Set course for Riel. Time to remind the galaxy why Earth survived when 97% of life on our world went extinct. The engines roared, stars bent. And the monsters of Earth leapt once more into the dark. The human fleet arrived at the edge of the Riel system like a storm. 60 ships tore out of hyperspace, reinforced by new allies, Crystalline Confederation frigates glittering with energy weapons, ethereal collective drones pulsing with strange light, even lumbering Zelani support craft, though they were fragile. But the sight before them froze every heart. The harvesters filled the system. Hundreds of ships blotted out the stars, vast constructs wrapped in shifting armor. Smaller drones swarmed between them like gnats. 3 inhabited worlds already burned, cities collapsing in firestorms. On the surface of Riel 3, a whole ocean boiled as machines burrowed beneath its depths. On the Retribution, Admiral Stone stood unflinching, though his officers paled. His tactical officer whispered, Sir, it's worse than we imagined. Stone's eyes narrowed. Then we fight harder than we ever imagined. He opened the fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Stone. You see what they've done. You see what they're doing. Every world they touch dies screaming. But not today. Today, the monsters of Earth go hunting. The order thundered. All ships attack. The void erupted. Human ships darted in unpredictable arcs, refusing formation. Harvester vessels answered with brutal precision, coordinated, relentless. Their weapons lanced through space, tearing holes in the black. The Phantom slid invisibly into the melee, Nina Walsh commanding like a conductor at war. Shadow strike sliced their comms, Wolfpack heard them toward our cruisers. The AI voices purred with predatory glee. Prey identified, hunting patterns engaged. Harvester ships suddenly found themselves surrounded by ghost fleets, driven into kill zones where human cannons waited. Explosions bloomed like dying stars. But the Harvesters adapted. Within minutes their targeting corrected, their protocols rewritten. They ignored the Phantoms, firing only at real ships. Rachel Green swore, "They're burning through every trick we've got." Nina's jaw tightened. "Then we make new tricks, patch me through to Maria Santos." On the infiltration ship Viper's Fang, Ben Rodriguez and his team grinned as their screens lit with Harvester data. Maria's fingers danced across keys, code spilling like fire. "They upgraded their filters," she muttered. "Fine, I'll corrupt their upgrades." Her partner, old smuggler Harkin, smirked. "Cheating against cheaters feels like home." Maria injected new viruses, disguising them as Harvester self-corrections. The machines swallowed the code eagerly, believing it was their own improvement. Within seconds, targeting systems misfired again. Entire Harvester squadrons turned their guns inward, blasting each other apart. Ben leaned back with a wolfish smile. "That's how we fight dirty." On Riel 3's surface, Major Sam Torres and his squad descended into hell. Their stealth transport crashed into the ruins of a coastal city. Fire licked the sky. The ground shook with the march of machines. Sam's squad poured out, weapons raised. Bell fired at swarms of drones, her rifle barking thunder. Miller waded through toxic smoke, lungs unbothered, hurling explosives into Harvester nests. Cho scanned the wreckage, finding clusters of terrified Relians, a reptilian species with scale-like hides and wide eyes, hiding in collapsed buildings. Sam's voice boomed through the mental link. "Get them out, every life matters." The squad tore through the chaos, shielding civilians, dragging them to cover. For every Harvester drone destroyed, 2 more swarmed. But the humans held the line. Sam slammed his fist into a drone's core, ripping wires loose. His armor smoked, but his eyes burned. "Not one more world," he snarled. Admiral Stone watched the tactical board. Red blips, Harvesters, still outnumbered blue, humans and allies by 10-1. Ships winked out of existence in fireballs. "Admiral," his officer gasped, "we're losing too many, even with allies." Stone cut him off. "Then we stop holding back." He opened a secure channel. "Activate Deep Strike Protocol, full release." Across the fleet, sealed compartments opened. Hidden war machines stirred. Some were drones designed after Earth's most efficient predators, Falcon-inspired strike craft that dove faster than sensors could track, Wolfpack torpedoes that hunted in coordinated swarms. Others were soldiers, enhanced humans long thought decommissioned. Their eyes gleamed as they were unleashed. The galaxy had called them abominations. The Harvesters would call them something else, death. On the battlefield, the change was immediate. Deep strike soldiers dropped into combat zones, tearing through Harvester constructs with inhuman strength. Predator drones struck in swarms, disabling entire Harvester cruisers before vanishing into the void. For the first time, the balance shifted. On the Retribution, officers cheered as Harvester ships exploded, but Stone's eyes remained grim. "We're only holding them, not breaking them." Then his comm officer paled. "Sir, new signal, system-wide broadcast from the Harvesters." The main screen flickered. A chorus of metallic voices spoke as one. "Biological anomaly, resistance noted, countermeasures engaged, location of origin species identified, Earth, new directive, consume." The bridge went silent. Stone's blood turned to ice. The Harvesters knew. They knew where Earth was. On Horizon Watch Station, Captain Jake Morrison slammed his fist against the console as the signal reached even them. Lisa Hayes looked at him, horror etched across her face. "They know, sir. They know Earth exists." Jake whispered, "We didn't just wake the monsters, we pointed them home." Back in the Riel system, the battle raged bloodier than ever. Sam Tor's squad fought street to street, protecting Relian civilians as bombardments rained fire. Katie Bell hauled a collapsed support beam off a group of survivors, her muscles straining like steel cables. Miller shielded children with his armored body as shrapnel cut the air. Sam's comm buzzed. Admiral Stone's voice thundered through. Major Tor's extraction point 3 clicks north. You and every civilian you can carry, now. Sam's throat tightened. He looked at the terrified Relians at his battered squad. Understood, Admiral, but sir, if they know Earth's location. Stone's reply was grim. Then this war just became a race for survival. On the Phantom, Nina Walsh and her crew worked feverishly, trying to stay one step ahead. Maria Santos's viruses kept machines misfiring, but their adaptations were accelerating. Rachel Green's hands shook as she pointed to the screen. Commander, they're building new forms, mid-battle, look at this. The holo showed harvester ships splitting, recombining, creating new shapes. One grew claws of plasma, another extended tentacles bristling with weapons. Nina's stomach turned. They're evolving faster than us. Wolfpack's voice growled through the speakers. Then we must evolve faster still. For the first time, Nina felt a chill. Even the AIs sounded afraid. Admiral Stone gripped the railing of the Retribution. Around him, chaos reigned, explosions, alarms, frantic reports, but his mind was razor-sharp. He opened a fleet-wide channel. Listen up. The Harvesters know where Earth is. If we lose here, we don't just lose Riel, we lose humanity, so we fight like hell itself. No retreat, no surrender. Show them what monsters really are. The fleet roared back, voices of humans and allies alike. In the middle of the chaos, a young Relian clutched Sam Tor's arm, her scales glistening with tears. Her translator stuttered. Why would you risk everything? We cannot give you anything. Why fight for us? Sam knelt, blood streaking his armor, eyes blazing. Because someone has to, because if we let you die, then we're next. And because, he swallowed, voice breaking. That's what it means to be human. The Relian's eyes widened, her fear replaced by something else, hope. Then the horizon lit with fire. A colossal harvester ship, larger than any before, emerged from hyperspace. Its hull bristled with weapons, its surface crawling with shifting machinery. It eclipsed the planet below, a shadow of annihilation. On the Retribution, sensors screamed. Officers stared in horror. Admiral, the tactical officer, gasped. That thing, it's the command node, the brain of the swarm. Stone's face hardened. Then we cut off the head. He pointed at the screen, voice sharp as a blade. Signal the fleet. All units target the command ship. If it falls, maybe the rest will falter. His eyes blazed. This is the moment, people. We either kill it or Earth dies. The order thundered through the fleet as the massive harvester behemoth loomed larger, weapons igniting. The monsters of Earth surged to meet it. The harvester command ship blotted out the stars. Its vast hull twisted and shifted, a writhing mass of living metal. Entire city blocks of machinery reconfigured themselves as it prepared for war. Its weapons burned like newborn suns, each one capable of annihilating a human cruiser in a single strike. On the Retribution, alarms screamed. Officers shouted over each other, voices cracking. Admiral, it's targeting us. Stone's jaw set like stone. Good, let it try. He opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships focus fire on the command node. No distractions. If it falls, the swarm falters. If it does, his voice darkened. Then Earth burns. The first salvo came like the wrath of gods. Beams of energy lanced from the command ship, slicing through space. A human destroyer vanished in an instant, its crew erased without time to scream. But the fleet answered. Torpedoes streaked. Cannons thundered. Predator drones swarmed like steel hawks, tearing at the command ship's flanks. Allied vessels joined, crystalline beams cracked armor, ethereal drones disrupted shields with pulses of pure energy. The command ship roared, adapting faster than any foe before, but the monsters of Earth pressed harder. On the surface of Riel 3, Sam Tors and his squad felt the sky itself shake as the giants above traded death. Sam dragged a wounded Relian to safety. Blood smeared his armor, his chest heaving. Over the mental link, Bell's voice rang. Sir, command ship in the fight. Fleet's throwing everything at it. Sam looked up, eyes blazing. Then so do we. He opened comms to Admiral Stone. Sir, this is Tors. We're beneath the command node's ground relays. I can hit it from here. If I plant Santos's virus directly, we might shut down its coordination. Static, then Stone's reply grim. It's suicide, Major. Sam's lips curled into a tired grin. Then it's Tuesday. On the Phantom, Nina Walsh and Maria Santos worked feverishly, their AIs howling with strain. Wolfpack's voice growled. We cannot contain them. Their adaptations accelerate, probability of failure high. Maria's eyes narrowed. Then we change the rules. Her hands flew over keys, code spilling like wildfire. I'll feed Tor's a direct injection virus. If he gets close enough, it'll spread through the command ship's neural net. Nina's stomach twisted. If he gets close enough, he won't come back. Maria didn't look up. Better one squad than every world. In orbit, the fleet bled. Harvester weapons carved through Allied ships. Crystalline frigates shattered. Ethereal drones winked out one by one. Even human ships fell, torn apart by unrelenting fire. But Admiral Stone refused to flinch. His voice was iron. Hold the line, buy Tor's his chance, make the monsters proud. Sam's squad tore through ruined streets toward the relay tower. Harvester drones poured from every direction, shrieking metallic death. Bell fired until her rifle glowed red. Miller ripped drones apart with bare hands, his lungs immune to the choking smoke. Cho guided civilians out of the line of fire even as she cut down attackers. Sam pressed forward, the virus device clutched in his gauntleted hand. The relay tower loomed, a writhing pillar of machinery connecting to the sky above. He could feel the command ship through it, like a heartbeat of cold, alien hunger. He slammed the device into the tower. Lights flared. The virus spread, racing upward like lightning. The command ship convulsed. Across the battlefield, Harvester drones staggered, firing at random, colliding with each other. Cheers erupted across the fleet. But the triumph lasted seconds. The command ship adapted. Fire coursed down the relay, burning the virus away. Sam was thrown back, armor scorched. The device cracked, useless. Bell's scream echoed in his mind. Sir, the virus failed. Sam dragged himself to his knees, vision blurred. The tower pulsed above him, alive, hungry. The battle would be lost. Unless... He looked at his squad, at the terrified Relians huddled behind them, at the endless sky of fire above. And he knew. Bell, Miller, Cho. His voice was raw. Get them out, that's an order. Bell's eyes went wide. Sir, no. Do it. They hesitated. Then one by one they nodded. Tears gleamed in Cho's eyes as she dragged civilians to safety. Miller punched a drone into scrap before retreating. Bell lingered a heartbeat longer, her voice breaking. You'd better make it count. Sam rose, broken and burning, and charged the tower. On the Retribution, Admiral Stone saw the relay flare. His comm officer gasped. Major Torres is interfacing manually, sir. His biometrics are spiking. Stone's hand tightened into a fist. He whispered, Godspeed, soldier. Sam slammed his hands into the relay's core. The alien code surged into him, tearing through his neural implants, burning his brain. He screamed, but he held on. He forced Maria's virus through his own body, using his mind as the carrier. The Harvester command ship shrieked. Its weapons faltered. Its formations collapsed. Drones turned on each other, confusion spreading like wildfire. Sam's last sight was the sky splitting with light as the Retribution, and its allies unleashed everything they had. The command ship convulsed, cracked, and exploded in a sunburst of fire. Silence fell. Across the system, Harvester ships went dark, lifeless without their node. Survivors wept. Allied crews cheered. On the Retribution, Admiral Stone bowed his head. Major Torres, he murmured, you just bought the galaxy a future. Weeks later, the council chamber on Centaurus Prime was filled again. But this time, the mood was different. Fear lingered, yes, but also respect. Council Speaker Vorka addressed the assembly. The Harvesters were defeated at Riel, but we all saw how, humanity's tactics, reckless, brutal, unnatural, and yet effective. Representative Fourth Ka of the Crystalline Confederation rose. Without them, we would be ash. We propose the formation of a biological defense alliance. Any species willing to fight extinction may join. Murmurs spread. For once, the council was unanimous. Karen Mills stood, her voice steady. We didn't come here to rule, we came here to answer. When someone cries for help, humanity will not look away. Call us monsters if you must. But we're the monsters who protect the innocent. On the Zelani homeworld, Coral Singer met with human engineers, helping rebuild. She gazed at the stars, whispering softly, the monsters of Earth saved us. Perhaps they are guardians, too. On Earth, Admiral Stone stood before rows of new recruits, human and alien alike, signing up for the Biological Defense Alliance. His voice boomed. You've heard the stories, you've seen the cost. We don't fight for territory. We don't fight for glory. We fight so no cry for help goes unanswered. And if that makes us monsters, then let the galaxy tremble. Far away in the dark between stars, the harvesters stirred. New nodes awakened, processing the defeat. They had learned. They would return. But so had humanity. And humanity would be waiting. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the Defender, a joint human-alien patrol ship. His comm officer, Lisa Hayes, turned. "Sir, new signal, distress call, unknown system." Jake's lips curved into a grim smile. "Put it through." A desperate alien voice filled the bridge. "Please, anyone, help us." Jake straightened, his crew, half human, half alien, waiting for his words. He opened the channel, his voice steady. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Biological Defense Alliance. We've received your call. Help is on the way." The alien voice trembled. Who are you?" Jake's gaze swept the stars ahead. "We're human, and when someone calls for help, we answer." The Defender leapt into hyperspace, carrying Earth's promise into the darkness. The monsters of Earth were awake. And they would never sleep again.